you, love of my life, Becky Laparra, for being on the podcast.
You're welcome.
Rebecca Lynn Laparra.
Yes.
I don't know why I waited 132, something like that, 132 episodes to have you on, but here we are. I wanted to have you on at different times, and it just didn't work out. We ran out of time, but I wanted to have you on for quite some time, so I'm glad we get to do it now, and I get to introduce you to the people that have to hear me every single week.
Yeah.
Talk on this microphone.
Yeah.
We have so much to talk about, and I don't quite know where to start. So let's start with just similarly to other conversations I have. Let's start with you introducing yourself, telling everyone a little bit about you, where you come from, and how we met, those sorts of things. Just like give people a 2 or 3 minute rundown of your life.
Okay.
Up until we got married, and then we'll start
Okay.
talking about how you and I have grown together into the
Weirdos that we are.
we are weirdos. the evolving, ever trying damn givers that we are, and it's taken
That too.
11 years of marriage to figure that out, how we mesh, how we work together. I don't know how you put up with me and all my craziness. So let's take everybody from birth until we get married in 2008.
Okay. I was born in Williamsport, Pennsylvania.
Home of Little League Baseball.
Yes. Passed by that stadium multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
And I lived in Pennsylvania until I was 9. A couple different houses. And then when I was 9, my dad, he has worked for Walmart all of my far back memory, what I can recollect.
Yeah,
it's been a really long time.
You were, around Pennsylvania time, because I think he said it's been like 23 or 24 years or something at this point. So, yeah, quite a while.
So Walmart transferred him down to Florida, which was also where my mom's sister lived. So they were happy with that. But we got transferred a little bit further south than where my aunt was, in a place called Labelle, Florida. And
You've never heard of it, in case you're wondering, people.
it is an hour, like 45 minutes inland from Fort Myers, Florida.
Which most people many people have heard of Fort Myers. It's a pretty cool place as far as Florida standards go.
Yeah.
I remember, quick pause, when I was dating you, I went and spent one of the holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas.
It was Thanksgiving.
Yeah, with your family, and not your dad, because your dad had already.
Hold on, we haven't gotten there
I won't
yet.
get there. So just your mom and your brothers were there, and I remember getting to this place. I mean, we drove in at night. We had driven like 20-something hours from Pennsylvania to get there. We drove in at night, and there were no. It was just. It looked like a town out of like an old Western film. Like there was only a few lights.
There's
one
like street that runs straight through.
One street where all the businesses are, and then there's like offshoots where people live. And I was like, where in the world does this woman live?
Yeah, my mom thought the same thing, but I didn't know that until I got older, and she's like,
it's a pretty crazy
where are
place.
we?
You've never been there. Nobody that's on this, listening to this podcast, has ever been there. Keep going. Sorry.
There's probably a few people that I know that have been there.
If
so
you've
let's
been
give
to
them-
Labelle, Florida, please let us know.
You're going to hear from Chase.
Oh, yeah, Chase lives in L.A. He's awesome.
yeah.
Wait, that's where you met him?
No,
Oh.
I met him at school.
But he knows about Labelle, and he
is. I think he's been there when I graduated from college. Anyways, so yes, we moved to Labelle, Florida, and I was there from 9 till I was 18, and yeah.
And then we met. We met around. You had just graduated from.
Yeah, this really made my life sound super boring because I didn't know what else to say about it. Like, we were in Labelle, Florida. And
That's fine. It was a pretty standard, you went to school and you had friends and you went home, and it was pretty standard. It was.
Yeah, I was homeschooled from 6th grade through high school.
Yeah.
And
But not one of those weirdo homeschool
well, I
kids.
was
You were
just
pretty
gonna,
cool.
yeah. I mean, I guess.
Yeah. No, she was cool.
I didn't really have any other choice but to be cool.
Yeah. What does that mean?
I don't know.
Sounded
And
good.
yeah, when I was in 11th grade, I decided to dual enroll in my local college in Fort Myers, Edison College, and I got my associate's degree between 11th and 12th grade because I could, and it was free, and it was really fun.
You're also a smarty pants.
I really liked school, and I was a suck up.
You were smart. You were tutoring.
I was tutoring
college students.
Or adults.
That
were taking,
yeah.
So college
older
students,
or
all
younger
ages.
college students in math
and English
while you were in high school attending college.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then we met in a little place called Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. I won't go. Let's not get into because that could lead us down some really emotional, weird paths.
Probably wise.
But we met while working for. Let's just put it this way: we met while working for the same organization in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
That was home base. We traveled all around the country and all over the world, but that was like home base for reasons you will not. We will not tell you about today. And we did not. I was your boss. That's another detail that must be known. And you did not like me at first. Neither of us liked each other.
Okay, I didn't like you because you were terrifying, and you didn't make any effort to not be terrifying.
But what does
you
that
look like
mean?
Vin
Because
Diesel.
so that was a summer. I was not trying to be intentionally terrifying. Well, I guess people
You
can
were
hear this on the
completely
podcast.
bald. You had the biggest eyebrows I'd ever seen on any male.
Well, yeah,
in
the
my
eyebrows
life.
look bigger if I have no hair on my
And
head.
You were in charge, and I was very young and very small, and had not.
You were barely 100 pounds, if that, and I was
And I had
225.
braces.
Yeah, you looked like a little. You just reminded me of a
was
little.
a
Maybe that was
baby.
part of it. Like you reminded me of like a. And you wore pigtails all the time. You reminded me of like a little girl. And I mean that's true because 4 or 5 months after we met, you went home to visit your family over winter break, and you came back without braces, and all of a sudden I was attracted to you. You looked a lot older.
Thank you for saying that
Yeah.
because that is exactly how you started liking me. Is because
Well,
my
no, no, no.
braces my braces came off.
I think.
And the whole world needs to know that that is the story. I've been trying to tell it this way for years.
No, I think there's more to it. I think the more to it is
No, we
that
were.
I probably
by that
did,
time, we were BFFs.
Yeah, we were very
We
close.
were very
at that
close
point.
at that time.
And I
because
think I was
finally
attracted
like,
to you,
well,
but you just looked and like you just felt so much younger to me, and I didn't want to. Again, I'm a 225 pound bald. At that time, I was in way better shape than I am now. Like I was this bigger presence, and you were. And
I don't know why
just-
I even started liking you. You ironed your jeans.
Yeah, people, you don't even know. Okay, so what you're getting today in 2020, and if you've been listening to this podcast since 2017, you know that you're getting this guy who owns a duffel bag full of clothes. And I did a TEDx talk where I talked about how I only for a while did one shower a week for a whole year. And now I probably
have
take...
nixed that.
Yeah, now it's like 2 times a week. But the whole idea was like, I don't know. Whatever. I won't even tell you the whole idea. But you get this
Nick was
guy who's
way
very
weirder.
Yeah, I am very simple now, but back then I carried around hand sanitizer in my pocket, so I could, if I shook your hand or like whatever, if I did something for a certain amount of time, I would then sanitize my hands. I ironed my jeans. I was very fashionable, I think, or at least very fashion sensitive. I don't know if I was fashionable, but I cared about it at least. And now I wear black jeans and black t-shirts every single day. Yeah, so we met, started dating so we met in August of 2006.
Yes, and we started
Dating in February of 2007.
Mm-hmm.
Got engaged December 29 of 2007 in New York City. Long story. I got food poisoning. We watched Wicked and we got engaged. And then we got married the following August.
2008.
Would have been sooner. We did not want to wait that long, but my parents
You're
were missionaries overseas, and they were living overseas, and they were moving back. So we kind of had to wait till they came back because they didn't want to come back, go back, and then move right back. So
Yeah.
we waited till August, and we've been married for. So that kind of brings us up to 2008 to 2020. We'll do 12 years this year, which is insane. I didn't ever, not that I didn't think we would get there. I couldn't imagine it. I couldn't
Right. I
imagine
know.
being
Yeah, I
12
know what
years
you mean.
with anyone, and especially with so many of our friends that are having difficulties in
I
their
was
marriages.
20
and-
when we got married.
Yes,
and
you
so
were. I was
thinking
25,
about
you were
being
20.
12 years later, it's just weird. We were completely different people, me included. We were completely different people back then.
There's a lot of our friends that are in there, and this is I'm not discounting this life experience at all. I think it's totally valid, and I think there's even a lot of wisdom to it. But there's a lot of our friends that are waiting until their late 20s and even into their 30s to get married on purpose or because of life.
Right.
Do you ever regret like not waiting? Because I mean, you were out of high school. We started working together.
There's
and
one.
we traveled the world, and then we got married. And you didn't.
I do wish that for a second I had lived by myself.
Yeah.
Because I've never lived by myself. I went from with my parents to the ministry that we were with, where we all, lived together, and then we got married.
Yeah.
Like right after that. And so I think that's one thing that I wish that maybe I could have done, but I don't regret.
No,
not
especially
doing
since
it.
you also
I just
a common theme for us. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, as long as I get to go on mini vacations by myself,
Yeah, and
that would be fine.
And you've taken a few of those, and in the
Yeah.
future you'll take a lot more for sure. I think that's very healthy for you. But I do think that one thing that I'll keep bringing up, because I truly don't understand it, I'm very grateful for it, is how well we get along and how compatible we are. How many times per week and sometimes per day we don't text for hours, and then we text at the same
exact
damn
every day.
time. Like literally our texts cross paths. So there's a lot of those.
Usually the same thing that we're asking each other too. How are you? What's for supper?
What's for supper?
Every day at 5:00, you guys. We don't know how to meal plan.
We are very good cooks. We cook great food. We're healthy eaters. We do not meal plan very well. But one thing I was going to say was, with you not getting your chance to live out on your own, we are really good now because you're a crazy introvert. Not crazy. You're an introvert. I'm a crazy extrovert. I get recharged out in the wild. You get recharged by not having me or anyone around. And so one thing that's been really good for us is me multiple times a week sometimes, depending on the schedule and everything. I will say, yeah, I'm going out for cigars or for a drink or whatever, and I'll stay out till 1 or 2 in the morning.
At the beginning of our marriage, I did mind it because I didn't understand what being extroverted meant for you, and that going out was something that helped to recharge you. And I just thought, he doesn't want to hang out with me, but I definitely don't want to go out because I'm exhausted. I was working all day and I just want to sleep.
Chill.
And then we, figured out our groove together where I'm like, oh, actually, this is good for me also because you're going out getting recharged, I'm getting recharged, and then we get to come back together and we think, okay, we're good. We had our little moments, and it's good for us.
Yeah, yeah.
And I have a lot of people ask me, especially when you travel.
Yeah.
They ask me, how can you do that? How can you just let him go? Like, why is he gone so much? Or why do you guys do this? And I'm like, well, one, we've talked about it.
Sure.
And we're really good with this. And two, I love you, but I don't mind when you go away for a few days because then I get to
multiple
recharge.
Evenings where it's just you reading, whatever, doing puzzles, hanging with your cat, watching.
But
a
then
show.
we've also compromised where I've found that I really love hosting people in our home, and then you are getting your extroverted time where you're getting recharged with people, and I feel very comfortable here, and so having people here doesn't exhaust me as much as going out and being with other people. And so we've realized that hey, we can really crush this together and have a bunch of people in our home.
Yeah.
Why did we start talking about this?
I don't know. It's okay. We're going to go down these little trails, rabbit holes. What are they called? Anyway, we're going to do a few of those. So one thing I want to, this conversation is mostly about people getting to know you, and you do give.
Because I'm fabulous.
You're fabulous. You do give more dams than almost anyone I know. So we're going to talk about that. You do it in such a quiet way, and people don't notice, and you're not out there making a noise, showing stuff on social media, starting an organization. And so a lot of time, for most people, it goes unnoticed. So we're going to get to that. But I also want to use this conversation because you know me better than anyone in the world, literally. I also want for people to get to know me as well. So it'll be 75% you, 25% me. Is that okay? Are we good?
How about 80-20?
80-20? Okay, that's fine.
Just kidding.
So far, we're 12 years in. I'm a pretty wild guy. I do some weird things. For example, I wanted to live stream my vasectomy last week, and the doctor wouldn't let me. So those are some weird things that
I wouldn't
I do a
either.
lot of weird things. I have piercings and tattoos, and I've just done a lot of weird things. And tell me, because I want to know, but tell us some of your favorite. It could be one or two, whatever some is. One or two of your favorite things about being married to me, like our relationship, our marriage, and then a couple things that you don't like.
Don't like or are hard to
Either
deal with.
Either or. You could not like it or it's hard. Yeah.
A couple of things that I like. Well, it's always just really interesting. I never really know what we're going to talk about next, or, maybe where we're going to go next, or who you're going to say that you just randomly met, or, you're having on your podcast, or I don't know. It's just always interesting. It's never boring. And it's been that way since the beginning,
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of evolved, and it's totally bigger and weirder now.
It's always,
but it's
always been
way.
different.
Yeah.
It's like, I want to do this, or I just did this, or, hey, I think we should move here. And we have not moved to all the 100 places that you have said we should be moving here. But it always is like a fun, interesting discussion, because then we look up videos, or we, do some, I don't know, Googling about these places, and is this good for kids? Or and so many places that we have looked up, and we obviously do not live there or any of these places. But
if you look at my YouTube history, it is mostly drone
videos over New York and Lisbon and Berlin
and Amsterdam
LA
and all over the place, because geography is so important to me, and I really value how a city lives, or how a city looks and feels and all of that. So I'll be up at 1 a.m. working, and then I'll be like, I want to see what Bratislava, Slovakia looks like from the sky. I have friends that live there, and it's like that. There's castles everywhere. It's amazing. It's beautiful. Anyway, keep going. So yes, it's interesting.
It is interesting. And it's not just places to move, but it's always just, fascinating conversations, or annoying ones, because we've had them a million times.
That
and I'm
too.
like, no, this is not happening. But, it's always different. Another thing is, you are just a really, I don't know how to say this, just a really helpful person. Like, you really care about taking care of your family. And I wouldn't say just in, I'm going to work and I'm taking care of the family, but in the little stuff that maybe, is overlooked sometimes. I mean, a lot of people probably know this, but you do all of the grocery shopping, and we would say like 80-85% of the cooking in the house. Just those two things, even if I stopped right there, like, those are two huge things that, one, you love doing, and two, you always do and you never complain about. It's a very companionable, is that a word? Relationship that we have, where we, like, one person doesn't, besides the grocery shopping, which you do and I should never do, because I always get the most expensive stuff. Well, or I call you and I'm like, hey, is this the right thing? And you're like, why didn't I just go?
Yeah. You've gone a few times and I regret it every single time.
Same. But like, we do things together, and you don't not just mind, you also want to do those things. You want to wash the dishes, and I want to wash the dishes, and we do them together. We like clean up together. We take care of the kids together. It's a very like giving relationship that you have with me. And I give and you take, like, it's both, but that's one fun thing about being married to you.
Cool. I wasn't
that about you.
I was not asking that to get any like compliments, but it's nice. Well, it's nice to hear that, because I strive for that.
Yeah.
As a husband, father, friend, all of those things. Mm-hmm. Any? How about a couple of hard things?
A couple of hard things. These are all very.
It can be petty. It can be big. It can be like something really substantial, or not.
I mean, I guess maybe just one hard thing is like when we argue, it kind of feels like we're in a courtroom.
Yes. Unfortunately, we have one daughter that she gets to me. And
Because
the reason
she
she
is
gets
you.
to me is because she is me, and she is so damn logical about everything, and everything has to make sense, and everything has to have a point. And
Which is exactly how you are. You are very
Yeah.
logical, and everything has to have a point, which is what you say in
So,
arguments
yeah, so,
sometimes.
yeah.
That argument doesn't make sense, or that opinion doesn't make sense. I'm like,
then I'll go
well,
through
it
and-
doesn't
yeah.
matter if it makes sense to you. It is my opinion. That's fine, you know? I think that would be one thing, and that's, I mean, we don't argue as much as we did when we were first married.
it's so
but-
rare now, which I'm thankful for. I mean,
But
our
when it
first
does
couple of years
happen,
of marriage,
like we kind of have several in a row because we're already annoyed from maybe the last time, you know, or something. And
this is a real point also for the last 3 years. So most of you all know, I won't bore you to death with rehashing details, but 3.5 years ago, I left my career in the nonprofit world and jumped out on my own to discover entrepreneurship and business and social enterprise and how do we make money and have an impact on the world. And the last 3 years have been 25% wins and 75% failures. And I really think I'm on the one hand grateful that our level of arguing and differences that we have is still very minimal. I mean, I think so anyway. Very infrequent.
it's usually the same arguments
Yes,
over
totally.
and over, which is fine.
But I think the point I was trying to make was that the last 3 years have been so great and beautiful, but also so hard that there's always this. We're right now in this week, this month, this season of life, we're trying to figure out how to stabilize things more because I know that my work-life harmony, I don't use work-life balance, I don't believe in it, but work-life harmony is suffering, my creativity is suffering, and then my relationships are suffering because I have a lot of pressure on coming from a variety of different directions. And so you are much more patient than I am in every single way. And then I have all this pressure, and so I'm like more ready than I should be to fight if something comes up, to
Yeah.
argue about something. And in a better season of life, in a very soon forthcoming season of life, the tension will be, the release. We'll turn the release valve, and it'll let some pressure off, and we'll be a little more stable.
Well, I'm definitely not saying that one thing that's annoying about being married to you is that we argue. It's sometimes
No, yeah.
the way that the arguing can end up.
Yeah.
I know.
No,
we're
I'm
gonna
at what
argue for
I mean.
sure.
You were saying this the other day to somebody. You were like, "Yeah, I frequently come to you after an argument and say, what?" You just said to somebody. Do you remember?
No, I don't.
Just that, like, I recognize really quickly, like, yeah, I'm an asshole. Like that was.
You just need to tell me that I am being one. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't know. Is that going to
Yeah.
start another argument? I would not want you
I
to
tell you
me
after
that,
the
but
fact,
you're completely
like,
different
just
than me.
confront me and say, you're being a real asshole right now. You're not listening to reason. Like, stop. Just like stop talking. Take 5 minutes, cool off, and then
Yeah.
you'll come back. Because every time when I like walk away, and we do, friends, we do not like yell and fight and like,
No.
But it's more than we want to, and
Yeah, it's just annoying.
yeah, it is annoying. So
One petty thing.
go for it, and then we'll get to some substance. This was substantial.
Yeah, everyone needs to know that Nick has a hard time keeping his nightstand clean.
Yeah.
Or his side of the room clean.
Yeah.
Like
We're sitting-
everything else is super nice, but he will have like the clothes that he wore last night, next to the bed, and receipts everywhere. And
I have to keep them for business expenses and stuff. But
I know, but
usually
they
have
are
a pile of
just
receipts. Yeah.
everywhere. And I'm like, when was the last time you wore these pants? And he says, well, yesterday. I said, well, they're on the ground, and I would like for you to hang them up. Just that always
What's
makes
so
me
funny
laugh.
though, I don't even understand that about
You're
myself.
clean everywhere else.
That's the thing.
Everywhere else.
The car gets a little bit,
Yes.
a little bit dirty, and I go car wash it and vacuum the hell out of it. our home, I'm always like, hey
Yeah, we
kids,
clean
let's
up
like
the home
clean,
and, yeah.
let's vacuum, let's every time as soon as the kids go to bed, or I would say 9.5 times out of 10, as soon as our kids go to bed and the doors are closed,
We do like a
we do a
15-minute
20-minute,
cleanup.
20-minute home clean, so that when we sit down, I go to work or we watch a show or I go out, whatever, the home is clean at least till 7 o'clock tomorrow morning,
Right.
when the kids get up. But yeah,
And
for
just
some
the little
reason,
spot on the side of the bed.
the bedroom, it's
free-for-all.
weird. It is. I mean, we're sitting at my desk right now, and which is right next to my bed. It's not so bad, but it's not. It also
It's cleaner than normal, which is good. And
Yeah.
there's no pants at my feet.
there is
that I
a
can
pair
see.
of pants on
Oh,
the back
there-
of my chair, though.
And a
The chair that I'm
and
sitting
a jacket.
and a jacket.
That's fine. Let's move on.
Let's move on. Thank you for sharing those things.
Yes, of course.
Okay, so here's what I want to talk about, though. We've been together for 12 years. We've been growing as a family. So we were together, we were married for a year and a half or so before we had a complicated
Molar pregnancy.
molar pregnancy.
You can look it up.
Yeah, you can look it up, molar pregnancy. It's very complicated, failed pregnancy, and essentially we couldn't get pregnant they said don't get pregnant for a year or this could happen again, which is different from a normal failed pregnancy where you
Try again
try
as
again
soon
at
as
4 or
you're
6 weeks.
comfortable,
Yeah. And we were going to adopt our second child, and so we decided, okay, we have a year that we can't try to get pregnant. Let's adopt our first child. Went through the whole process. A young woman.
A year-long process.
Year-long process.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well,
We sent in our adoption papers in January.
You're right.
And the baby was born
end
the
of
end of
December.
December.
Yep. So a year. So we went through this whole process. A lot of money. We raised a lot of money. We used a lot of our own money. A lot of friends gave money.
Mm-hmm.
Tons of details. Lawyer, the paperwork. It was crazy. We were chosen by a young woman in Bessemer, Alabama, just right outside of Birmingham. And long story short, we spent 3 days with that newborn, and birth moms have 72 hours to sign away the baby. They have 72 hours to not. After 72 hours, they can they lose the right.
Mm-hmm.
And at literally 71 hours on early Saturday morning when we were supposed to go pick up the baby, she decided to keep the baby, and so that was a really hard time for us. I still think. Do you still think about that baby? I still think about the baby all the time.
I wouldn't say all the time, but I definitely think about her often. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a beautiful black baby, and we were so. I just. Yeah, that's a hard one to still think about and talk about, because we wanted that to happen, and the situation that baby was born into, not impossible, but I know that she didn't get the upbringing that she. I shouldn't say that she deserves, but that we would have given her. And the girl was very young. The birth mom was very young. Anyway, so then we got pregnant very soon after that. And we've had 3 kids in a row, basically. And so now we have three kids that are 5, 7, and 8. Belle just turned 7 2 days ago. So very exciting. So 5, 7, and 8. For about 3 months a year, they are 1 year apart. Roman will be 6 soon, and then it's 6, 7, 8. So we've lived in 4 different states as a married couple, 10 different homes, 4 different states, 3 kids. We now live in Nashville, Tennessee.
It's actually 10.
It's 10 or 11, yeah. Maybe this is 11. I think it was 10 when we left Tacoma, but either way, 10 or 11 homes, 4 different states. We're in Nashville. We've grown a lot, but one thing that's been very consistent is one thing that I've seen, not consistent, it's actually grown, is I'm constantly amazed at how thoughtful you are and how well you serve other people, and how willing you are to go with the flow when it comes to helping and serving people. Like, need arises, might not be ideal. Homeless person needs a place to sleep for the night. I have to jet off somewhere to go help someone for a few hours or a few days. You're always so quick to agree to it, even if it involves you helping out or not. But you're just always quick to give a damn. You're always quick to come around people that are hurting, situations that are not ideal, and you just way quicker than most people would. You decide, I'm in. And I could tell you about a million of these examples, just through the years, things that she's done on her own, things that we've done as a family, things that I've done and that she's allowed me to do. But here's what I'm curious about, because I ask all my guests this when they, depending on what they're starting, organization, a project, or whatever. I want to know, how did you become that way? Like, what do you think influenced you to become that way? Family, your faith, like recent years, or is it stuff that's springing up now that was alive in you when you were a kid? Like, are you able to think through, like, because I just don't understand people. I don't understand how willing you are to go along with this crazy life that we've created. People ask me all the time, we've had 3 very unstable years building Let's Give a Damn and other projects that I'm involved in, and had a failed business partnership last year that was very painful and pretty traumatic. And if anything, I've seen friends of mine, their marriages fall apart because of stuff like this. And with ours, I feel like it's strengthened it. So I will quit talking. Why? How are you the way that you are?
I am not sure. I honestly am not sure when that started for me. I kind of just feel really empathetic towards people.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it happened more like when I had kids and I had a lot of people come around me in those first few months and years, and I just saw people care for me really well. I mean, even when we had our failed adoption, like, we had so many people come around us and care for us. But I just feel like it's what I'm supposed to do. There's so many people that need taken care of. And I have just felt like I'm supposed to be one of those people that takes care of them. I was just talking with my sister-in-law about this the other day. She said, if you lived another life, she said, I think that you would full-time be someone that literally took care of people that didn't have families, like, and made them your family. And I said, I want to do that right now. Like, I remember one time we talked and we said, wouldn't that be really amazing if we had like this really huge house? I think it was when we were moving here and we found a place that, we thought maybe we could move into, and it had probably 6 or 7 bedrooms. And I was just floored, thinking this would be so amazing because we could have all these single people live with us that don't have families, that would love to be a part of a family, and just not just live as if they're our, housemates, but really live with us as if they're our family. And that would be just amazing. I love being mom, and not just to my kids, but everybody that's ever lived with us has always called me, jokingly, but like their mom. We've been their mom and dad.
And some of these people are older than you.
Yeah, and I am not, telling them what to do. Not that kind of mom, but more like, being there when they need a hug, or listening to the things that are bothering them, or they come home from work, and sometimes when you live by yourself and you don't have anybody that's like, hey, how was your day? And that was my role. Like, maybe it happened when we started having people live with us. Was it Stefan?
So there's a couple things. Well, I want to tell you when I think it happened in a second.
Okay.
Because I've watched you very closely in so many ways over the years. But yes, I think that is part of it. Is we have always had not in
Allison.
Like, we've virtually had an open door policy. Wherever we've lived.
Yeah.
And that means that, depending on the season of life, 3-4 nights a week, sometimes more, we have people over. I mean, we've had people over the last few nights in our home right now, and people might come over later. Like, we have people that just, we also, I've had people come into our home. So we always live in, not always, more recently we've lived in kind of small, tight spaces. And we're not the most, like, we buy secondhand things and we piece things together. We're very frugal and simple people. But for some reason, whenever we've cobbled our homes together, we always create a space that people walk in and say,
They
this
immediately
feels like
relax.
home.
Yeah.
Like it feels like home. I had a friend come over who is pretty well off, and their home is much bigger than ours. Let's just put it that way. At least 4 or 5 times bigger than ours. And they made a point, and they weren't just pandering. They weren't just saying that to make us feel good. Like, you could tell it was a very genuine, like, holy shit, like, your house is cool.
So welcoming and comfortable, and
it just
yeah.
feels right. And
I think
early
you're
on
right.
we did.
I think a lot of it had to do is when we started having people live with us, which I'm thinking back, it was Andrew, your brother, was the first person that lived with us, and I immediately was just like,
we love this.
I need to take care of him in the sense of like, we are his family, 1. And 2, he moved here and didn't know anybody, and we already know people. And then we've just had someone living with us constantly since then until we moved here.
Yeah.
And then we even did manage to fit somebody in here for a few months, and we were so happy.
We're much happier when people are living with us.
We got to
live in.
welcome somebody into our home and like take care of them in ways that they needed and might not have been getting at that season of their life. And
probably.
I think that's probably what it was, is having people live with us. And I just realized this is what I was made for.
We've lived in the same home, not the same home. You and I have lived under the same roof, 11 different roofs, but we've lived together for 11 years, and probably 9 years. Maybe now that we've lived in Tennessee and it's been, a lot of transition, maybe 8 out of those 11 years we've had people living with us full time. Mostly single people. Sometimes it's because they needed a place to stay because they couldn't afford it. Sometimes it was, I want to live with you. Like, I could go elsewhere and I want to live with you and your crazy little family. So I think one of the reasons is, and I don't know when it was, but I think this happened, whenever it happened, probably the first 3-4 years of our marriage. Because when I met you being a person that was willing to help other people isn't one of the things that attracted me to you. Like, I don't think that's where you were. Not that you were like selfish or full of yourself, but you just weren't the person that I would look at, even as somebody that worked with me and worked under me. Like, you weren't the person that I knew that was always going to pick up the slack and do all the stuff. That wasn't, again, you weren't unkind. It wasn't like you were a bad person, but you weren't the person that was always saying, yes, 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 let me help. Then we got married, and maybe it was people staying with us or whatever, but you started, here's what I think one of the big things is, and this is what I want people to hear, because I believe it's true. You started saying yes. You just started saying yes if there was a need. A lot of people default to, I don't know, or no, that doesn't fit in my schedule, or that's not part of my plan, or whatever. And your default was, before the need was even spoken, like it was almost done being spoken, whatever it was, you were already on board. I don't know how that happened, but I know that started happening.
Well, I mean, I didn't always say yes.
What do you mean?
I definitely knew if I couldn't do something.
No, sure. I'm not saying always. I'm not saying 100% of the time. I'm saying overwhelmingly, if there's a need, totally. Like, yes, we can't do everything. You can't do everything. You're way better at saying no than I am. That's for sure.
I feel bad if I can't say yes because I want to.
Do you think that's okay? Do you think you need to not feel bad, or when you can't say yes, or do you think that's okay?
I think I don't feel guilty. I just feel bad. Like, oh, I wish I could help. That's it. So I don't think it's bad. I don't sit and like, mope about it or anything. I'm just like, oh, dang, I can't help. But
do you agree that you, by and large, are just open to, we've had,
true.
I mean, I've just a few different situations that I'm thinking of. We lived in Tacoma. We had 3 small kids, maybe 2 at the time. And we had a friend who was homeless, and we loved this guy, and he would busk, literally busk his ass off, and play music all over town. Could never make it out of that. And there were nights, Tacoma wasn't like there wouldn't be snow and ice all over the ground, but it got cold, too cold to sleep in. That's for sure. And there were nights when I would just say, "Hey, Stan's got to come over. Like, is that cool?"
And it was like we had already built a relationship with him too. So I mean, I wasn't just saying
a total
yes
stranger.
to like a total stranger sleeping on the sofa. I do want to say that, like, but
we're not advocating for putting you or your family in harm's way.
But we had,
but it's still a hard thing.
It is hard because he was someone that we didn't know that was homeless, and we brought him in and helped take care of him, and he would,
I would go off to work,
throw us a couple of loose bills, if he felt so inclined, or we would do so to him if he needed it. And he was so sweet with our kids, and
there were times when I would go off to work
sleep,
and he would
would
stay.
always be so gracious and kind, and I don't know, I just wanted to feed him breakfast and coffee in the morning.
And you did.
Yeah. And then he left.
And there are many things like that I would guess, by and large, most families, couples, I don't know, wouldn't be so keen to even be open to stuff like that, because people see. I think that's one of our, for you and me, it's one of our strengths, and I want to honor that for both of us. Like, I want to call that out in you, and I'm proud of us for, I thank God for it, but I'm proud of us for developing into people like that don't see our home as our retreat. We need retreat. We need time alone. We need those things, but we don't see our home as like our little kingdom, our little castle. We close the, garage door goes open, drive the car in, garage door goes closed, don't see them until 8 o'clock the next morning when they leave. Like, no, our home, I mean, we live in a 900 and something square foot home in Nashville, and we've had 40, 50 people in here for parties,
say we have
Halloween parties and Christmas parties. And
I've had to tell certain friends several times that is real. It is legit.
Yeah. Most people are trying to kick people out like it's over now, and we actually have to tell people like, no, we really mean it. Like, you're not coming over, and we want to feed you.
Yeah.
You just told our friend the other day it's a stressful time in life, and you told her, come over, we will cook you food.
Right.
You need to eat a good meal.
Just tell me you're coming, and I'll
give
add
us
you
30
an
minutes
extra
notice.
plate.
Yeah.
I feel like there isn't a ton. I feel like I'm not good in a lot of things. And so because this is something that, one, I enjoy, and two, I think I do well, I just want to do it all the time, I guess.
Well, none of us are good at a lot of things.
Well, I know, but like
we try to act like it, but you don't. You just know what you're good at.
Well, I'm honest.
Yeah.
And I won't do something that I can't do. But I also have 3 kids, and I'm the primary caregiver, for them. And that takes up a lot of my time. And they're in school now, which is different. But for, the first, 7 years of having children, I was just with them all the time. And this was something that I could do while having them and feel like I was making a difference. And it was in my own home, which is where I'm the most comfortable.
Yeah. How are you currently giving a damn? What are some things that you're involved in, some ways that you're pouring yourself out? Could be within this family, could be with other people. What are you doing to continue to sharpen your damn giving skills?
Well, the same things I've been doing and that we just talked about. I also, within the past, I don't know how many months it's been, maybe 5 or 6 months, I started volunteering at the Nashville Rescue Mission. And I just do that on Mondays. I do it with a woman in our church. She's very sweet, and I really enjoy working with her. But we just serve lunch to a bunch of women that have, addictions, whether to alcohol or drugs. And a lot of them are in programs, and we work alongside them. They're in these programs to help them with their addictions, and they have to be there for 6 months, I think. 6 months to a year to graduate. And then they end up working there, even after that. And then some of them are just women that come in off the street, the same women every single day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner for a meal, and then they try to get to bed, at the end of the day. So, and I don't get a big chance to talk to these women, but I do recognize a lot of their faces now, and they recognize mine, which is just where it starts. Like, I went in thinking maybe I was going to get to know people really quickly, and then also quickly realize that I am very introverted and shy when I meet new people. And so I was like, wait, that's not going to happen. I don't know why I was thinking that would happen right away. And so I'm just taking it the way I know how, and that's slowly and consistently. So, and I've liked doing it.
Yeah. Let me push back on something you said.
Okay.
Well, no, you said I just go on Mondays and I just serve them lunch. And I just want to push back and say, you go on Mondays, you serve them lunch.
Yeah.
It's not just anything. And I know that you didn't mean that, but I think that's important, like to not think, well, this is all I do.
I mean, that is what
that's
I was
hugely,
saying when I said that, because it feels like little.
But it's so not, because you're playing it down here, but you've told me stories of, you are the friendliest extrovert or introvert that I know. Like, most people do not think of you as an introvert. That's how well you not how well you play the extrovert. You don't do that. You're not around to bullshit people about that. But you give off such like good vibes and energy, and you're so just kind to people that no one thinks you're like waiting for them to leave so you can like chill. Mm-hmm. And these women don't think that either. You've told me multiple stories, people noticing jewelry, different things about you that you've already established. I mean, you're a presence there. And Mary, who is one of the priests at our church, who you go with, she has cornered me multiple times at church and said, like, I really like Becky. Like, I really like her. She's so kind. She's so helpful. I love having her there. I love that she wants to come, because you're probably one of the few people in our church that goes every week. Like, there's opportunities for people to come. Saturdays once a month, and then every week on Monday. And you're one of the more consistent ones. I know that. And so you've even had an impression on her, because she's been going for every week for a long time doing this. And I also want to point out that I think it's really important, friends, to find, for us, it's a faith community. We have multiple different versions of our like community, right? But one very helpful part of our journey is being a part of a faith community that serves really, really, really well in our city. Not in a show-offy, got to post it on Instagram that we're serving meals, coerce you into doing it. The way that our little parish emphasizes the need to serve in the city and how they do it, and the pressure, the lack of pressure that there is there. Mm-hmm. A lot of people that are listening, I'm sure, I know, have a church faith something background, right? And there's a lot of bad memories there for a variety of reasons. But one of them is I just got burnt out. I was so tired. They always wanted me to do stuff like stand at the door, greet people, park cars, watch the kids, set up, tear down, all these things. And we're part of a faith community that if you say you want to do something, they just short of convince you not to. They want to make sure that if you take on this responsibility, whether it's, we were just at church today and we watched kids in the nursery, right? Mm-hmm. And we do that once every 3 months. It's not like an every other week kind of a thing. It's amazing. We do it 4 times a year.
As a family.
As a family, yeah. We're going to get to the as a family. Very good. That's a good segue for like 2 minutes from now, because I want to talk about parenting. And because I think that's important for so many people that are listening that have kids. And okay, I give a damn, but how do I lead my kids in that direction and show them the way? So let me just finish with this in saying that, like, maybe you don't have a faith community, but find people. What I'm trying to say is find your people, that, because you can't do this alone. You will burn out. You will do things poorly if you don't find people that will pull you back when you need to be pulled back, push you forward when you need to be pushed forward, and help guide you as you become more of a damn giver. You need people around you that have total access to your life. that you can be accountable to, and they're accountable to you. That's the kind of give a damn formula that I'm working on is, give a damn about yourself, then give a damn about each other, then give a damn about others. And it has to happen in that order. You give a damn about yourself, you make sure you're healthy, make sure you are taking care of yourself, not in a bougie like Parks and Rec treat yourself day, but like really, really, like therapy and reading and healthy eating and exercise. Make sure you're healthy, your brain, your mind, your heart, everything's ready to go. But you can't do it all on your own. So you need people around you, that community, that's the each other, people that you're going to pour into, people that are going to pour into you. That's so, so, so important. And we've found that at our church, our neighbors, our friends, and we have multiple layers of that, which is really cool. I feel very blessed that we can go a bunch of different places and find that community of people that are pushing us toward giving a damn, giving more dams. You talk about National Rescue Mission. You could talk about other things, but let's chat about parenting.
Okay.
We have 3 kids.
Yes.
You are, without a doubt, a much better parent than I am. And I don't say that lightly. It's just the truth. I learn a lot from you. I tell you that all the time, that, I may not always act like it, because I do have moments where, whatever, I'm human. I fail, But when I come through the front door after a work trip or a long day of work or whatever, I really feel like I need to defer to you on all things. I start cooking, I start doing stuff when I get home, but in terms of what the kids are up to, what they've been through, how they're acting, how they're not acting. So I think you're a very, very, very good parent. You do such an incredible job teaching our kids to learn how to deal with each other, which will serve them super well as they get older, as they learn how to interact with, schoolmates and then coworkers, or, college mates, coworkers, a potential life partner. Like, there's so many people they're going to have to do that with, and I think they're getting a really good, I'm trying, you're good at it. Like, they're getting a really good example of what that looks like here in our home. But how are you? Is it an intentional process for you to, as you think about raising kids along with me that give a damn, raising kids that love other people unconditionally, believe in equality, believing in raising other people up, want to address issues and eradicate issues and all those things? As we think about that for you and me, for us, how do you think we're doing with our kids?
I don't know if it's just because it's late, but talking about my kids right now makes me want to start crying. Not in a bad way, just because I want to be a good mom, and I just want to do a good job by them and raise them to be compassionate, empathetic people that love others and are kind. Like, that's literally all I want for them. And I feel like I've told you this. I always feel like I'm not doing a good job. I feel like a pretty shitty parent almost every day. And I've had lots of people say that I'm not, and that we aren't, we're doing a great job. But when you're in the thick of things, it just feels like, I just didn't do enough today, or I was too selfish, or I didn't listen. Like, I just talked too much. I talked over them too much, and I didn't listen. They're just these tiny little humans that don't have any idea what to do. And we are the ones that they've been given to teach them how to do this. And I think one thing that's been really important is that besides just the fact that we want to take care of other people in our home, is we've also really wanted other people to speak into their lives, because we are not like super well-rounded, in
We don't know
everything.
everything.
We don't know
Not even
everything.
close.
So it's why it's like important for me that they go to school and they're learning from other people, because I can't teach them everything. Why it's important that, their aunts and uncles that live here are, in their life and a part of their life, and friends that we call family are, babysit them or come over all the time or live with us, like, so that they can just learn everything from people that love them and want the best for them. And I definitely lean heavily on other people because I can't do it all by myself, And yeah, sometimes I act like a jerk to you because I know what I want for them.
Mm-hmm.
And then I see you in a moment of weakness, just like me. I see you in a moment of weakness, not do that. And I like immediately turn protective mama bear. So let's just call it that from now on.
I'm in.
Instead of me like judging you or being mean, I'm just going full mama bear on my kids. But I don't know. It's really hard. And I never ever wanted to pretend that this is easy, because it's not.
Yeah. That's really good. And you are a great mama bear. You're really good. You're really good with the kids, and you're really good at leading them in our home. I think some of the things that we've done, I want to add a few things just that I think are helpful. And this is not to shame any other parents. This is the way we're doing it. These are some things that we're doing in an effort to raise children that, see people first before anything else. Before money, before problems, before ways they can gain. They see people that are in need, they need help, they need friendship, they need compassion. I mean, I'm constantly surprised in a good way to see our children just be so incredibly empathetic. Not always.
Yeah. Well, and they are learning that first with each other, and sometimes it's discouraging. I see them together and they are only fighting forever. And then I talk to their teachers at school and they're like, Solace was having a hard day and Belle saw her and gave her a hug in the hallway, or, vice versa or something. And, I'm thinking they were really sucky to each other all weekend and they actually are getting it, but they just needed a break from each other. Like everybody else needs a break from each other. And I think we forget that sometimes, that our kids are with each other all the time and they never get breaks. Just like you and I talked at the beginning, how it's good for us to get breaks from each other. And, they are listening and they are learning, but they're not always like, we are their safe space. They can be their true selves. They can show their frustrations and their anger and their imperfections with us because we're going to love them no matter what. Yeah. And yet I see them talking to our neighbor and they are just being super kind and, hey, are you having a good day? And like really caring. And I'm always blown away because I see the nitty gritty and the stuff that makes me literally want to pull my hair out. And then they go and show that they were listening and they've been paying attention.
Yeah, I think something you do, well, it ties into everything else that we've said, but I think you do a really good job at seeing our home as like a testing ground for the rest of life for them, Like, we have 3 kids. I travel a lot. We do a lot of crazy things. And so sometimes I feel like we're in survival mode. Yeah. Like, I don't have much to offer. And I come home and I want to see my kids so badly, but I know that there's going to be things that they do or say or whatever. And I think you do a really great job at every situation that happens. It seems like you're thinking. You may not even know that you're thinking this, but you're thinking 10 years down the road.
I'm always thinking that.
You're thinking like, okay, this situation, we can for sure yell at them and tell them, stop fighting, stop bickering. Why did you yell at them that way? Why did you do that? Like, we've told you 1,000 times. That's what I want to do because that feels good. That feels like then I can exert my control over them.
But the better thing to do is to, talk to them and say, this is not helpful.
Well, and get at the root of it. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, exactly.
They could be upset from something that happened at school.
Just figuring out, what's going on in their little brains and their little hearts and how to help them with this situation. So that way, like you just said, 10 years from now, they're going to know how to look back on this. Maybe they'll remember this moment. Like, I'm always thinking, is this going to be the moment that they remember when they're an adult? Because I remember certain moments when I was a kid,
ones.
like bad ones and good ones, and thinking, I want to make sure that I'm doing the best I can so that when they remember this moment, it was a helpful moment. And I don't want them to remember the time where I lost it because I just couldn't stand it one more time, which definitely happens to me a lot. And then I have to apologize. But then I also want them to remember that I apologized and like showed them that, yes, I was wrong. And Mama just threw a tantrum.
Yeah.
And
we
all throw tantrums, and they're not right
to my kids
or helpful
every single day for something.
Same.
That's so important for them to see, like a big adult. Remember, I can't. You always talk about how intense I look when I'm just talking to my kids, and you're like, you're scaring them because I do everything intense.
Yeah.
I do everything with my eyes wide open, hand gestures, and sometimes I don't even think or know that I'm doing that. But they've also seen me like get down on my knees and say, what Papa just did was not okay.
They're going to experience so much anger in life. And if anything, I want them to experience overwhelming kindness coming from the people that love them the most. Because that's one thing that's short in the world is kindness. And if I can show them anything, it would be kindness. I can love them to death and they'll know that I love them. But if I'm not kind when I'm doing all these things, when I'm teaching them, I'm here as a teacher. I'm not here as a disciplinarian. I'm here to teach them about life. You're here to teach them about life. And it might not always work, in the moment, but I would rather know that I, did it the way that I felt good in my gut rather than just get at it in the moment and then feel guilty later when I'm trying to go to sleep and think, wow, I really missed it that time, which is really hard and really exhausting. And I think that's why I'm so mentally exhausted every day.
Yeah. Parenting is not for the faint of heart. But I'm already starting to see the fruits of our labors little by little. And I have shared when people have asked, like, what does a successful life look like? For me, yes, I have dreams. I have ambitions. I want to do so many things. I want to visit one of my bucket lists is to visit every country on the earth. I'm 30 countries in, many to go, 160 to go. But, I have all these ambitions and things I want to do. But really, if our 3 kids do a little bit better at life than we did, I mean, that's it. That's how things get better over time.
Yeah.
Is we're not looking for the immediate wins. We're not looking for the instant gratification. And we'll get some of those along the way, starting different projects and companies and this and that.
And I don't think you realize that when you first have kids. You just think, oh my gosh, we're having kids. Yeah. And then you realize, oh, we're in it for the long haul. Like you can't get out of it. You can't have breaks every day. Like you're on all the time. And even if you're away from your kids, you're thinking, oh my gosh, I'm away from them. Like, are the people that they're with taking care of them and loving them the way I would? Are they, you try not to feel guilty for taking a break, which you desperately need and deserve. But then you also want to make sure that your kids are being taken care of because this is my responsibility. I get breaks, like everybody gets breaks from work, but I don't get as many. Like I don't get weekends, and I wish that I got. Oh my goodness, I can't even count all the mornings where I'm like, why are you guys awake already?
The amount
Why
of
do you need
times
to eat so much?
I want to karate chop certain single people in the throat when they're like, "Oh, my life, it's so busy." And I'm like, you can wake up whenever you want. You can do whatever you want,
and
most
then
of the time.
I'm devil's
And I'm not
advocate,
judging.
and
Yeah,
I'm like, they don't have kids.
No.
That's for them to not
totally.
know.
It's not like real judgment.
I know,
But
but I am that
I think
person
that sometimes I'm like, you don't even know. Yeah, our kids
it's true.
Saturday we're up
it's
at
true. It's
Saturday morning. What time do they
different
get up at?
having kids. It's hard to be single for sure. It's hard to be single and to, be only taking care of yourself. And I imagine it can be also lonely. And those are things that I don't know.
I love all you single people. That wasn't a dig. But as a tired parent, sometimes I think it like, shut up.
I'm not gonna say that.
I know, because you're what?
I could never say it. I just want all of the single people to live with me.
No, I know. We need to have somebody. I mean, we had our friend last year for 3 or 4 months.
Yeah,
it's time. We probably need to add one more bedroom.
We need another bedroom because my kids can't sleep in the same room.
We live in 975 square feet right now, which I think it's more than plenty, and it's definitely enough. But to add another person, when she lived with us last year, that was tough because we had to put all 3 of our kids in the same bedroom, and it was so good. BB, if you can hear me, it was so good. We enjoyed it and we want you back. But the one difficult thing was like putting all 3 of our kids in the same bedroom, in a bedroom that is probably 100 square feet.
Well, we were all open and honest about the communication
100%. Yeah.
Anyways.
Is there anything else you want to talk about before we wrap this one up? We're going to do this again, by the way. You're good at this.
I mean, I would like for you to tell everyone how much you love me.
Well, that's coming. It's right here. I have 4 lines. I wrote down 4 lines of notes, and it's coming. But do you want to talk about anything else? It won't be another 130 episodes before you're on again.
Fame, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. This is your 15 minutes or hour and 5 minutes.
Wait, we've been talking an hour and 5 minutes.
Yeah. Something like that.
No, I mean, there is a lot of stuff I'd like to talk about.
What do you
mental health and I don't know, just
there's so many things.
Just a bunch of things, but
what do you think about Let's Give a Damn? What do you think about the Let's Give a Damn family? What do you want to say to them? Like, so you're in a way different position. So I get all these notes. I mean, every day I get some sort of feedback or communication from one of you all, whether it's a text, an email, in person. People, the sort of random, because I'm like so not famous, but like the random people that find me on the street are like, holy shit, it's Nick. Or DMs on Instagram or Twitter DMs. Like, I hear from you all the time. And I've been building this thing slowly but surely, and we're doing all these crazy things, and we're trying to, I'm trying to write a book, and we've got a TV show at some point, and local chapters that we're looking to launch, and all these things. But you have a totally different perspective. You hear me, you hear me closing myself in our closet to do intros and outros, right? Because closets are really good if you don't have a studio and you need to record audio. You see me do all the crazy things. Well, I did an interview once, left for the interview at like 11:30 at night and went till like 2 a.m. You see all the craziness.
Yeah.
And so I guess I really haven't even asked you, like, what do you think of, I mean, I have asked you what you think of Let's Give a Damn, but like, what do you think about what I'm doing, what we're doing? Do you have anything to say to the damn givers out there?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for listening. I mean, I honestly haven't listened to every single episode.
No, that's fine.
But we talk about it.
We do.
Almost everyone. We kind of like chat briefly about it.
I wouldn't expect you to. I wouldn't expect you to hear me every single fucking day. And then
I don't listen to it to listen to you. I listen to it because I'm like, ooh, I've always wanted to hear, about this person, and they got to chat with Nick, and I've already told you who I need to be there for if ever you interview them. Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Oh yeah. Oh, that'll happen for sure.
I guess, yeah, it is kind of a weird situation to be in, and I don't say this in like a poor me way, but it's kind of a thankless position. Not from you necessarily, because I hear from you all the time, like, thank you so much.
No.
But I don't hear,
but
which is fine.
Nobody's saying, thank your wife for all the time you're getting up to do this thing that you're not getting paid for the most part.
Right. It's very like, Nick, you're going to do another podcast and I will never hear, which is
I
just
fly
a
to
weird
LA,
thing, which
meet
is
with
a
all
weird
these
thing
cool
to say. Like,
people.
nobody should be talking to me, but I
You're the
am
support
literally
system.
like your biggest supporter,
And fan. Yeah.
and fan. So it is kind of weird, and I don't expect it, but it's just like we all know about Let's Give a Damn is our life.
Yeah.
I'm literally wearing a Let's Give a Damn t-shirt right now, and I've worn 2 different ones in the past 2 days, and the kids are always asking where they're Let's give a darn. Where
They say let's give a damn, but they joke around and say let's give a darn.
Right,
too.
like they want their own shirts.
Yeah, they
and
do
their
want
own
kid shirts,
kids
yeah.
stuff to happen, and like it is our actual life.
Yeah, the kids know all about it.
And we talk about it all the time. And so, I mean, I love it. And I have, been supportive and excited about it since the beginning. When you talked to me about it in Tacoma and was just like, I really want to do this. I'm like, that sounds really cool.
And
we didn't really
I
know
wanna
like what
do
it would
this
be.
is,
Too.
I didn't even know what it was. I had a name.
No, you just
I
had
had
a
an
name.
idea. And for a year, I didn't do anything with it because I didn't know what I
Yeah.
wanted to do it. But yes.
And I remember finally we both just looked at each other and I was like, you need to start this podcast. And you're like, I need to start this podcast. And then you did it.
132 episodes later.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you want to support us, that would be awesome. I have no shame in plugging my husband because he is going to do amazing things and is already doing amazing things.
The interesting thing about saying that right now, the support thing, is we're currently in a little bit of a transition. I don't know. I might get into this a little bit further at a different time. Actually, one of my mentors encouraged me to talk more about this. I don't know that I'm going to use... There hasn't been really a good way for you all to support what I do. Besides, leave a good review on Apple Podcasts. That always helps. Share it with your friends. That always helps. You better be doing that because it's so easy and so simple. But even financially, right? Because I right now we're on Patreon, and you've heard me talk about that before. I don't know that we'll be on there much longer. I've heard, and I need to do more investigating. I've heard that they have allowed some. I won't get into it right now, but needless to say, some very sketchy people making sketchy things to share, to raise money on their platform, and at the same time, them being very antagonistic toward more right-wing people like Jordan Peterson. And Jordan Peterson is not even right-wing, but like thinkers and people like Sam Harris and Jordan Peterson and others have left the platform because they got so much antagonism from the creators of Patreon, the people in the Patreon community. And so because of those few reasons, and again, I'll get more in depth later on because I think this is a different conversation about how long do you stick with something that you're making money doing, even if you know that they're doing something wrong, right? It's integrity is what I'm getting at. Anyway, so I don't actually want you to sign up for Patreon right now to give, $1 or $5 a month to support what we're doing because I think we're going to get off. But please, we do need you to support what we're doing in different ways. If you can't financially, please, every time you hear a podcast interview, share it with 5 people.
Yeah.
Make sure those people leave a review. These are such simple things and I'm not even just saying this for me. If you look at a lot of my tweets and a lot of my Instagram posts and a lot of my Instagram stories, I spend a lot of time supporting the people in my community that make shit, that make good shit. Mm-hmm. If my friends put out a song, if they put out an album, if they have a Kickstarter that they're doing, I support it and share it. If they make something that I love, I share it and tell you to go follow them. These are simple ease. Every friend that I know that has a podcast or anything, I've rated it 5 stars, given them a great review. These are such simple things that take just a few seconds that we can show beyond our words, beyond a hey Nick, that great job. Beyond that we actually care and want to see this thing succeed because our time and attention is divided right now more than ever before because there's so many things to look at and listen to and watch and support. There's not enough money, time, or energy to go around. And so we have to get very serious about the things that we do want to support. And so that's not just for me. That's for everybody in your life that you want to support. Like, actually do it. So thank you for saying that, Becky. Don't give on Patreon yet because we're going to switch. But please, sign up for our email newsletter. You'll hear more about it there. Make sure you're subscribed to the podcast, and like our social media pages, so that so you can stay abreast.
Oh,
I don't know why I said
why?
that, but that's how you would say it.
I guess, but
Stay
like
up to date with
way better
all
ways
the
to
things
do
that are
that.
going on, because we do 2020, guys, is going to be bonkers. We have so many things that are taking shape, evolving, growing slowly but surely, and I want you all to be part of it. Okay, let's wrap up. This
Okay.
is when I'm going to tell you how much I love and appreciate you.
Okay, I'm ready.
I'm not going to tell you anymore. No, March 8th is International Women's Day. It's partially why I wanted to have you on this week. This week and next week will be female guests that I really admire, and I wanted you to be the first one of those. Again, I could have had you on so many other times before, and it just didn't work out. So I'm glad our first time is actually the week before International Women's Day 2020. You are truly, I've said it in different ways through this conversation, but you are truly one of the best damn givers out there. You just are. We haven't even touched the surface on all the ways that I admire you and all the things that you've done. Like, there's just so many. I mean, at this point in our relationship, 12, 13 years in from when we started dating, like, I've seen you give a damn in so many different ways, tens of thousands of times. Like, not a few, not a couple hundred. Like, all the fucking time. You are outdoing yourself in loving other people, in serving people, in finding ways, little things, whether it's a word or an actual physical act of service or bringing someone over. There's just so many different ways. Two, you being a busy mom of 3 kids and saying, I want to serve at the National Rescue Mission, and doing that. And then just thinking it's a simple, like, to you, it really is just like, oh, it's not that much. And I guess that's a good way to think about it from a humility standpoint, that you don't think that you're doing this big thing that you want to show off. Like, you don't go share it on social media. You're not even on social media.
Yeah.
Becky's been on a social media fast and she's loving it. She can't hear all of y'all's shit on there in all of my conversations. Let's put it that way. Conversations on Twitter about politics and otherwise. But I really do, apart from your damn giving, like, we're best friends, and I tell people this all the time. This is not a lie. Several times a week in conversations with mentors, potential, partnerships that I'm doing, or just friends. Like, I tell people all the time, the only reason that I have done anything that I've done is because you've let me / supported me / loved me through it / were honest when you needed to be. And yeah, I couldn't do any of this without knowing that the home front is not falling apart. In fact, it's thriving. And just knowing that we're good.
Yeah.
I've had people that have observed. I had a guy that I didn't even know. We were sharing, swapping stories at my local cigar bar. And after hearing all the stuff I'm doing and all the things that I've done and all the places we're going, he was like, because he had already been divorced once, 20-something years ago, and he finally found this amazing woman. He's had several kids with her, and it's good. This is his lifelong partner. But he was like, dude, my one piece of advice, make sure you're good. Like, make sure things are good. Make sure she's not bullshitting you. Make sure she's like, make sure you're really good. And it, honestly, when people say that, and it's been more and more often as more and more of my friends split up for whatever reason, and like, maybe it's arrogant of me, but I always am able to say, at least to myself, I don't say it out loud because that I want to actually consider it, right?
Yeah.
But I can always say to myself, no, we're good. Not perfect. But like, I know that you're not at home like scheming how you're going to leave because things are hard.
Right.
I know you're not harboring anything. Like, we talk.
Well, and I mean, it's a pretty well-known point about me. Like, I'm not going to pull any BS. I'm honest. I'm telling you what I'm thinking and feeling, even if it's really hard. And I feel like I can't really do much in terms of like helping you with Let's Give a Damn or your work, but I can be supportive. And so I just I've just thrown all my weight in.
Yeah. You've done a really good job of that.
I ask you all the time, like, what can I do? And you're like, literally, your support is more than you think it is.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel like it to me, but it's probably one of the only things that I can, like, truly, tangibly do. And I'm happy to do it.
Here's the dreaded question that I ask every guest at the end.
I know, I've been dreading it.
Really? Why?
Well, because I've heard everybody say it, and I think about death way too often, especially recently. And so I'm like,
we've lost some great friends.
Can I make it through the question?
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, I'll ask it anyway. And people know the setup. The setup is many, many years from now, you pass away.
Oh my gosh, you literally will be doing this, though. I can't do this question.
That's true. This is one of the few that actually, okay, so not hypothetical. If I outlive you, which I don't know if that'll happen, someday you're going to die, and there'll be, I know this, that lots of people will be there to, this one's different because it's you. You're already crying. I'm crying. I get to honor and mourn your life in front of all the people that you love. What do you hope that I'll say on that day?
I hope you'll say that I really loved my kids, and that I was a really good friend to everyone, and that I loved you well. And that's as much as I can do.
Well, I mean, that's good. That's good. I think you're well on your way to doing all of those. Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Of course.
Did you enjoy it? Are you okay?
I've been shaking the whole time because I'm nervous.
Because lots of people are going to listen to this.
And I really don't like the sound of my voice.
You have been...
And my laugh
like surprisingly...
so I've tried to...
Well, you only...
I literally feel like I'm talking at half volume this entire time.
Yeah, that's true. Friends, come visit us.
Super sultry.
We will welcome you in. There will be drinks aplenty and food. And Becky...
I will be way louder and way more obnoxious. And
when Becky laughs, all the heads turn. It's one of my favorite things about her was that literally, I mean, if we're in a rest, like there are so many times when Becky will...
Here's the thing,
though. You don't care. You have a loud laugh. You don't try to hide it. So we have been at concerts, at church, with like out in public at parks, and you will just howl, and people will look,
if it hits
and you don't give a shit.
I can't not, because it's so funny, and laughing is literally one of the greatest feelings.
Yeah, you're good at it.
I'm glad
people
we
love
can
you
bring
for
this
your
around to laughing,
Yeah.
because I thought I was gonna not make it there for a second.
We did it. Your laugh's great. Thanks for giving a damn.
Yeah.
Seriously. And thanks for supporting me and for supporting Let's Give a Damn. And I love you.
I love you too.